This is a start of a conversation that we want to bring together over the next few months, and that includes all of our friends at different platforms, all of our friends at hardware companies, and all of those social graph endeavors that are happening both independently and within your teams. So let's see what we can do to inspire and connect each other.
Because we believe that enabling the ability to travel between experiences across platforms is a fundamental requirement for achieving the metaverse. And it's a point of agreement that we can build industry consensus around because it touches all the problems that we need to solve. We have assembled some of the great minds and leaders of the metaverse here today to express support for the simple concept that virtual worlds and the layers of the AR cloud need to be accessible, shared experiences that are easy to move between together. In order to make this possible, the more challenging technical infrastructure issues of identity, avatar portability, safety, security, and privacy need to be solved. And we believe that this begins with a simple agreement.
Teleporting around the metaverse is going to be like clicking a link on the internet. It's an open standard. In order to unlock the potential of the metaverse, there needs to be interoperability. That goes beyond just taking your avatar and digital items across different apps and experiences, which we're already building an API to support.
These metaversal portals that allow us to teleport ourselves from the Engage platform straight into ProPud. Any of these doors that you see lining this clubhouse and hop straight on to that golf course, which I really think this is what consumers want, is this ability to hop from place to place to place.
Pieces to the open metaverse is portals, links, bridges between various platforms and their virtual worlds. Currently, the largest social 3D applications are mostly closed ecosystems. Collaboration between operating system vendors, game engine developers, web browsers, and application developers. In the same way we got together to standardize hyperlinks for the World Wide Web, or deep links and protocol handlers into various levels of our software stack, we need to come together to build the hyperlinks of the metaverse.
Things are obviously moving at an accelerated pace, and you can feel the velocity in the industry, just, you know, both on the hardware and the enabling software stacks, ability to create a consistent method for users to journey through metaverses. And so, you know, whether it's a protocol standard like I propose here, meta : or HTSP : it doesn't matter, but having some sort of a universal approach we think is very important to start thinking in terms of here's my metadata, and I'm going to use a smart contract mechanism to define what I'm happy with in terms of allowing others to utilize that data. And I also have a clear understanding of the quid pro quo that I'm going to get in terms of functionality and services. So it's no longer a blind trust, but an overt clarity that we operate on. So a lot of the work that we're doing right now is trying to implement all of these efforts to create a standard experience for our users.
Because we all believe passionately that wide cooperation is going to be the only way to build the metaverse. And so it's a pleasure and an honor to be here amongst like minds. And of course, cooperation works best when there is effective communication. And so a big shout out to Ben and Ivo, who have taken initiative here to bring us all together and create this opportunity, I think, to discover how we can best coordinate our activities and our efforts. And the metaverse is going to need many things to interoperate on a scale that we've never attempted before as a whole industry. And so we're going to need a constellation of standards from dozens, maybe even hundreds of standards organizations and initiatives around the industry. And all those standards and initiatives will not only need to work in isolation, they all now need to work together. So from our perspective, if a group like this could help us all construct a map of standards and initiatives around the industry so we can find the right connect points and identify gaps where no one has the ball, and I'm sure there are some, and I think an effective way to pick some specific goals that we can work towards together to keep things grounded and productive. And MetaTr traversal seems like a good one. There are so many aspects to that. The runtime protocols, the interoperable assets and avatars are just two. So I think, you know, having that as a goal will seem certain to catalyze some good cooperation and connection.
Believe me, getting things to fit in the security and privacy, I don't want to say constraints, it's the guarantees of the web, has been a major challenge. And trying to make this a very vendor neutral space while still enabling all the power of the devices that we're seeing come on the market, and the next round after that, and the next round after that. I think the biggest challenge right now is that we are at a place where we need to get enough adoption and people building these experiences to sink all of the effort in to solve the next set of problems. Like, how do you deal with having an open and shared like geography that somehow no one owns? Like, these are very hard questions, and they're actually shared values, I think, across this group and a lot of the people here.
For the XR and the metaverse industry, if there could be more collaborations between IEEE's VR and AR standards and activities and other SDOs, all those standards are collectively building blocks that we would need to create an open and promising XR and metaverse ecosystem.
And for having me today and for organizing this great group. I love the vision, I love the energy, I love the values, and I also love the collaboration among standards groups. And I've seen the theme already thus far today.
Try to help the community with, the conversation around the open metaverse, because we believe at Epic, and you've heard Tim Sweeney, being very, very clear about the necessity of it to be open. There's a lot of opportunity, and we have a bias for execution more than for conversation. So I'm here to try to understand, how we get pragmatic and start to do things that actually make a difference. So, so I look forward to engage and working with you guys and make sure that we keep the end goal around, small wins and getting shit done.
And why we came together is what we've seen emerged over the years is we are building this sort of an ecosystem, and it's been driven by various companies, but what we are actually lacking is the sort of universal language.
One of our important goals is to help increase the market availability of contents and experiences based upon WebXR, which is why, or the reason why we have supported the WebXR Summit series this year. In a nutshell, FutureWeb will continue to support WebXR and any interoperability initiatives related to Metaverse, which can help secure innovation, user experience, and business opportunities for wider XR industry.
When we look at issues of governance and ethics, we have to start to think about, well, how do we embed human rights into these protocols from the lowest level? In the absence of all these other questions that haven't been yet figured out. And I guess it's just to advocate, to start to think about, well, how do you embed ethics and human rights into everything that you do at every single dimension of this level?
Wow, Kent, we're going to breathe for a second and just absorb all of that. Wow.
Being able to move freely from VR apps to WebXR and back is a fundamental requirement of an open future in XR, and also a foundation upon which of most of the other issues of the metaverse we want, such as privacy, security, commerce, and so on, will be built. There are clearly several technical, organizational, security, and other hurdles to overcome before we reach such a smooth metaversal traversal. I love that phrase. And it will probably take more time than we would all like. But that makes it imperative to start this conversation and bring the appropriate players together now to harness the metaverse's greatest potential for humans without repeating mistakes of the past.
So one of the issues that comes up with portals is, first of all, it's very complicated. You need to solve almost every issue with interoperability to make portals work well. Maybe it's a good starting point, but it's also a lot to bite off. On a first try, systems may be very different, the moderation systems. And so if we can see and hear across these portals, it opens up a lot of cans of worms for how do we deal with the issues that arise from activity across the portals. And practical things to be thinking about when we actually go and try to solve these portals. I wanted to give that perspective of somebody who's tried to do this in various places.
So much, Avi, and I'm grateful for your continued leadership in figuring out how to bring these people together and how to figure out how to connect the constellations, as Neil was describing earlier. I think you've got a fantastic vision on how to begin sort of creating these sort of concentric councils of a sort that can do this hard work of intermediating the details.
The things that we need to, challenge people on, and also support, them thinking about it. because some people are just going to be reactive and not proactive. We need to create proactive attitudes about these issues.